It is a comment that has gone viral. Culture Minister Mahesh Sharma's not-so-cultured remark on the late President Kalam. Modi's minister has sparked a big political row. This is what he told our managing editor Rahul Kawal. Mahesh Sharma said, and I quote, Kalam was a patriot despite being a Muslim. There is political anger and disbelief over what Sharma has said.
मैं समझता हूँ औरंगजेब कोई आदर्श नहीं थे। हमारे प्रेरणा स्रोत प्रेरणा का ही प्रेरक हो सकता है, प्रेरणा स्रोत ही प्रेरक हो सकता है। औरंगजेब रोड का नाम भी बदलकर एक ऐसे महापुरुष के नाम पर किया है जो मुसलमान होते हुए भी इतना बड़ा राष्ट्रवादी और मानवतावादी इंसान था। P J Abdul Kalam उनके नाम पर किया।
What I'd like to do is bring in our executive editor, Javed Ansari, for more. We'll also cut across to Ashar Ahmed Khan, who's getting in the latest reactions coming in from the Congress. Javed, it's a very straightforward question here because what the culture minister has said, which is highly uncultured, smacks of nothing else but a certain kind of mentality. Should not now the government at least sack the minister to put forth a public message on this?
Well, absolutely, Preeti, you're spot on. It's now the onus is on the Prime Minister. Either the Prime Minister has to come clean. The Prime Minister must say either he's reflecting the views of the government, and if he is not, then he has no place in this government. Because what he said is absolutely appalling, and this can lead to a great amount of disharmony between communities. He's casting a shadow not just on President Kalam, but he says that he was a patriot despite being a Muslim. So what is he trying to say? That, he's raising a question mark over the patriotism of an entire community. Does he even realize what he's talking about? When you hold such responsible positions, you need to be careful. You need to think before you speak. In this case, Mr. Sharma certainly never thinks. He's just too fond of his own voice, and in the bargain, he goes on and does tremendous damage.
Javed, let's look at it. It's not about even being thinking before you speak, because this is the general mentality with what the culture minister has spoken forth. The question is, this cannot, there are a lot of ministers in the BJP who will now come on record to state that these are the personal views of the culture minister. How can these be the personal views of a culture minister who has said this in an interview given as the culture minister from the government where the NDA is concerned?
Well, absolutely, he can't get away with saying that these are views, these are his personal views. Personal views, he should sit in his drawing room over a cup of tea when he's talking to his friends and air those views. Otherwise, when you are a union minister, you cannot be seen talking in such an irresponsible manner. Not just the minister, but also the union government owes an answer, and they must categorically state whether these are the stated views of the government of India or these are his personal views, in which case he should have no place in the government. This is not the first time. To our managing editor, Mr. Rahul Kawal, earlier he said the people have voted us in because they know that we come from an RSS background. They know what our beliefs are, and despite that, we've got a people's mandate. He'd like to believe that the vote in 2014 was for all this kind of rubbish that he's spewing day in and day out.
Well, Javed, stay on with us. What we're going to do is lots of reactions coming in, and understandably, the Congress has found a hotspot to attack the BJP on. Let's get in reactions.
Yes, now is Congress spokesperson Mr. PC Chako. Sir, the culture minister has said that despite being a Muslim, Abdul Kalam was a nationalist. How do you respond to such statements from ministers of the government?
Probably the nuances of this English phrase he did not understand, Despite being a Muslim, does he mean that all Muslims are anti-national? It should come out. And I think that nothing short of an apology is necessary from the minister. What he has said is so derogatory, and he should apologize. He should withdraw his statement and he should apologize. Using Abdul Kalam's name does not justify his, polluted thinking, He has said something which is very, very unbecoming from the side of a minister of Government of India.
Sir, we've seen that in the last couple of months, lots of ministers of this government have been speaking have been making certain statements which are rather improper. Do you think the Prime Minister should step in, or the Prime Minister should respond to this?
I think probably the Prime Minister is the source of encouragement for all these statements. And we expect that the Prime Minister will interfere to correct this is of no use. I do not have a hope like that, because it is the anti-Congressism crossing all the limits propagated by the Prime Minister, that is the source for all these statements. When all these statements coming, it should have been the duty, responsibility of the Prime Minister to stop it then and there. He is allowing all these fringe elements within his party to make statements, and that too very, very anti-Congress statements, anti-national statement. And we have not come across a single instance where the Prime Minister is interfering to correct it.
Sir, my last question, and this is also targeting a specific community. How do you see that, sir?
Yes, it is targeting a specific community, and they are not going to succeed. Maybe the Prime Minister thinking that, dividing India on communal lines is the only beneficial thing for BJP. In the background of Bihar elections, they may be thinking that, abusing a community and isolating a community will benefit them. This is the BJP politics, This is detrimental to the society, and dividing India on communal lines may benefit them in a poll. But it is going to divide India, that is detrimental.
Would you ask the Prime Minister to ask the Minister to step down?
I don't have the faith in the Prime Minister. Having seen in the last 1.5 years, his conduct and his statements also, I don't think that we can expect anything from the Prime Minister. But the behavior of the BJP ministers and the leaders, if they continue like this, the people will react.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. That was Mr. Chako speaking to us with camera person Anil in Delhi, Ashar Khan for India Today.
Well, before we cut across to Javed Ansari, our executive editor, I believe we'll also get Ashar. I just want to cut across to what the culture minister said to our managing editor, Rahul Kamal.
मैं समझता हूँ औरंगजेब कोई आदर्श नहीं थे। हमारे प्रेरणा स्रोत प्रेरणा का ही प्रेरक हो सकता है, प्रेरणा स्रोत ही प्रेरक हो सकता है। औरंगजेब रोड का नाम भी बदलकर एक ऐसे महापुरुष के नाम पर किया है जो मुसलमान होते हुए भी इतना बड़ा राष्ट्रवादी और मानवतावादी इंसान था। पी जे अब्दुल कलाम उनके नाम पर किया।
All right, I would cut across now. I would want to go to Javed Ansari, executive editor. I believe we have him in the studio. Javed, this is not about politics. It's clearly the Congress and the other opposition parties have found a thing to hit the BJP with. But this is not about politics. This is also not so much about our former president, P J Abdul Kalam. It's about a mindset which smacks of bigotry.
Well, absolutely, Preeti, you're spot on. It's not just about the Congress party or the opposition. Every sane person, all those who sway by the idea of India will feel appalled by what he has said. First of all, who has given him the right? Who has given him the authority to give certificates to people that this community is patriotic and that is not? He's a minister for culture. He has certain responsibilities. He'd be doing the nation a great service if he just discharges his duties diligently rather than indulging in this kind of politics and rather than playing his communal politics. He comes from a certain background. He carries a certain ideological baggage. We all know that. But now he's sworn by the Constitution and he needs to function within its parameters.
But Javed, who does the onus lie on? Because clearly the culture minister thinks it's very well within his rights to say what he does. He said that over and over again. But the onus now lies with the government. The government the Prime Minister has to come out and set the record straight, because this message is not a political message. This message is not about our former Prime Minister. This message goes down to the commonmost denominator, that the government in question, the culture minister representing it, is a bigot.
Well, absolutely, and the onus lies with the person who's appointed him. I don't know what he brings to the table. What is this grand expertise that he has, that he was chosen from the obscurity and made a minister, and now that he's been made a minister, the onus lies with the Prime Minister of India. Either he should publicly disassociate, and not just disassociate in words. This gentleman does not deserve to be in the Union Council of Ministers. He's not doing any credit either to the government or to the Prime Minister or to the country. What he's saying has the potential to create a lot of divisions within society. As it is, there are a lot of problems. And now for him to come and say this, to brand an entire community, to cast aspersions, to question the patriotism, he has no right to give these certificates, and he has no right to talk in such an irresponsible manner so long as he's the Minister of the Union. So therefore the onus is on the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister keeps saying Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. Now he needs to walk the talk. Now is the time where mere words will not solve the problem. He needs to act, because for far too long
Right.
disparate, different members of the Sangh Parivar have gone on and said things which have just created to this sense of disillusionment.
All right, Javed, stay on with us. I want to get former politician, member of the All India Muslim League, Kamal Farooqi, who's with us on the phone line. Mr. Farooqi, what do you make of this right now? Because you have a minister who is in power, the culture minister, coming on record and making a statement which smacks of abject bigotry.
Objectionable, it's obnoxious, and nothing less than he should be thrown out of the ministry. He should tender unconditional apology and should not find any place in the ministry anymore.
Do you think the onus here, Mr. Farooqi, also now lies on the Prime Minister, lies on the government? Because, we've been trying to reach various BJP spokespersons. Everybody's skirting the question, refusing to come on board, giving a reaction, because clearly they are deeply embarrassed by their own colleague. But it's not about embarrassment so much. It is not about even, our former president so much. It is about a message which is going down to the commonmost denominator.
No, I don't buy this. That they are feeling sorry about it or what. I personally feel it's a game plan. They have been continuously doing it. That one of the ministers will speak these kind of words. He will hurt the people in the country, and the other people will try to either they will not respond or they will give some lame excuse. No, it is his personal. We have seen the minister also making these kind of remarks earlier.
Right.
But now this is the time when in fact, we are throwing a challenge to Mr. Modi. If either he is agreeing for whatever his minister is saying, or he should be thrown out today itself.
All right. Appreciate you joining us, Mr. Farooq. What we're going to do is also cut across to Ashar Ahmad Khan. I believe he has some Congress reactions, but before I do that, I want to connect to a managing editor. Now, it was to an interview to a managing editor, Rahul Kanwal, that the culture minister said what he did. Before I go across to Rahul Kanwal, once again, let's play that excerpt out of that interview that he gave to Rahul Kanwal.
मैं समझता हूँ औरंगजेब कोई आदर्श नहीं थे। हमारे प्रेरणा स्रोत प्रेरणा का ही प्रेरक हो सकता है, प्रेरणा स्रोत ही प्रेरक हो सकता है। औरंगजेब रोड का नाम भी बदलकर एक ऐसे महापुरुष के नाम पर किया है जो मुसलमान होते हुए भी इतना बड़ा राष्ट्रवादी और मानवतावादी इंसान था। APJ अब्दुल कलाम उनके नाम पर किया।
Rahul, this is inexcusable because this is not so much to do with any political party or opposition from that. It's not even so much to do about a former president. It's about a general message which is going down to the people of this country, which smacks of abject bigotry coming in from none other but the culture minister.
Preeti, if you look at the manner in which the culture minister made these comments, that is what makes it most worrisome. He didn't say it with the intent of causing harm. He didn't say it with malice. It just came so naturally to him. It rolled off his tongue because it's so seeped into the upbringing, so seeped into his thinking that it didn't seem like a mistake. I must say, though, now that we've spoken to Mahesh Sharma, we've taken his reaction subsequent to the airing of the interview, subsequent to the controversy that's been created. He says he didn't mean it like that. Now, of course, he's completely retracting, saying he meant no offense to APJ Abdul Kalam, that they're Muslims who are patriots. Now, of course, he's in damage control mode. But the manner in which you see that interview which you just played out, it rolls off his tongue so casually and so easily because it's not a Freudian slip. It's something that's ingrained in his system. That's what he believes in, and therefore it comes out so naturally. He, however, now is saying that that is not what he meant. He didn't to insult APJ Abdul Kalam, or he didn't mean this as an affront to Indian Muslims.
All right. Appreciate you joining us, Rahul. What we are getting is a fair bit of political commentary on the back of that interview that you just, did. We have, I believe, Madhu Gaur Yakshi on the phone line. He's from the Congress. He's with us. Quick reactions on that statement made in that interview by the culture minister, Mr. Yakshi.
A very uncultured statement of a culture minister. He doesn't deserve or call to be a culture minister for culture. How can he say that? The Muslims are part of the India's independence struggle. Does he know that on Frontier Gandhi, Mount Abdul Ghaffar Khan? Every Muslim, the 14 crore Muslim population, they are part of parcel of India. They are they contribute India's independence struggles to the development of India. This is the mindset of the BJP. They want to divide the country on religious lines, and they try to gain the political mileage in Bihar elections. And they don't know, the Prime Minister of the country doesn't wish the 14 crore population of this country on their festivals. And this is how they wanted to be in one nation.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Yakshi, for joining us with that quick comment. I believe there's a fair bit of reaction coming in, especially and understandably from the Congress. Ashar Ahmed Khan is with us. Ashar, what are you picking up?
Well, we've seen that the Congress party has demanded an unconditional apology from the concerned minister, that is Mr. Mahesh Sharma. Also, when we asked the Congress spokesperson, Mr. P C Chako, that whether the Prime Minister should intervene and ask the minister to resign, his categorical response was that we have no hope from the Prime Minister, because now it is almost certain to us that it is the Prime Minister who urges his leaders to go on and make such statements. So clearly, the Congress getting this on a platter and trying to make trying to take full political mileage out of this, and we are seeing reactions coming in thick and fast from several Congress leaders. The basic thing being that this is something which is ingrained in this government, and that is how this government is functioning. Then the second point which the Congress party is saying is that an unconditional apology should be made available as soon as possible. So clearly the Congress upping the ante on the government, and especially on the culture minister.
You know, Ashar, just stay with me. If Javed is still with us, our executive editor, I'd like to go across from a quick comment from him. You know, Javed, there's a lot of political reaction coming in at this point of time where commentary being made on the lines that this is a political ploy which is being played out right before the Bihar elections.
Yes, PT. I mean, politicians will play politics and they'll make political comments. But and perhaps they could be or could not be a grain of truth into what the Congress is alleging. But the fact of the matter is that this is a very sad commentary on the times that we live in. 68 years after independence, if you're still questioning people's patriotism, if you still believe in giving certificates to people, if you still believe that people have a lot to prove, then this says very little for us as a country. And this flies in the face of everything that the current Prime Minister has been talking about, of taking the entire, the entire Indian population together. What does this say of him? And that every time, this is not the first instance, every couple of months, every couple of weeks, some MP, some leader, somewhere will come up and make a statement like this.
But Javed, that's the point, because this is not a fringe element. You know, this is not a Sakshi Jyoti or a Sadhvi Jyoti or someone. He is a minister in the cabinet of Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister.
Yes, most certainly, and that's what makes it even more appalling. It's that a union minister who's sworn by the Constitution goes about talking like in such an irresponsible manner. And therefore, the onus is now entirely on Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi, either he needs to prove that what he says he really believes in, that this Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas is something that is an article of faith for him, or else this is like one of the other jumlas that politicians usually make in the heat of elections.
All right, we're getting a lot of political reaction. We have D. Raja from the left. Mr. Raja, quick comments on what the culture minister said in that exclusive interview to India Today.
It is extremely deplorable comment. It is an insult for late President Abdul Kalam, and it is questioning the patriotism of one particular community of the people who are the citizens. But these BJP and RSS people, leaders should understand when the country was partisan, the Muslim people had a choice, but they stayed back to be the citizens of this country, and nobody should think of questioning the patriotism of Muslim people in our country. And this is how they are alienating Muslim people, and they are trying to create all kinds of hatred towards Muslim people, which is atrocious and highly condemnable.
Right. Appreciate you joining us. A fair bit of political commentary coming on the back of that excerpt from that interview which the culture minister gave, where he said that Dr. Kalam was a patriot despite being a Muslim. This is not about politics, and this is not the way we are following it here. It's not also so much about a former president. It's about a general message which a cabinet minister is giving to the people of this country. The onus now lies with the government to correct it. We're going to keep getting it reaction. Stay with us, a quick break.